Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Charles from Quest. I'm going to talk to you about the 4 services that are part of your chamber membership. I think Lucy's organising the slides, so I'm going to move the slide. There you go. So this is called the GAI Business Support Service. Next. And as you will see, it is provided by Quest Business Services. That's us. We're based in Leicester. We're part of a group of companies. We do HR and health and safety services, legal services, insurance services, accountancy service, and tax fee protection services. So basically all the services we need to provide the services that are available to you as a member are provided by our own group of companies, and we don't have to outsource anything. Quest Partnerships is part of that group of companies. We're a major supplier of membership schemes across the UK and a key partner of the Trade Association Forum and the exclusive recommended supplier by the British Chambers of Commerce to the UK Chamber Network. In total, we're supporting about 100,000 member businesses in the UK at the moment. Next. And the 4 services that are available to you are as follows. They're all included in your membership fee. So there's an HR service, a health and safety service, a legal service, and a tax service. So what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about each of those. Next one, Lucy. The overview of these services is that there are 4 HR, legal, health and safety, tax. There are 5 advice lines: HR, legal, health and safety, tax, and VAT. They're separate advice lines because they're different people. But in addition to the advice lines, it's much more than that. You've also got access to a website, and that features 3 document libraries: HR, health and safety, and legal. They contain almost 800 downloadable template documents, 783 to be precise as of Monday. And you know, it's a fantastic resource, and we'll talk through it all in a moment. Next one. You can access these services through an advice line number. That's a dedicated number just for your members, and that's 0116 243 7760. Welcome to the GAI Business Support Service advice line. Website and document library are available through your association website, or which is through that link, gai.questcover.com. And if you go to the landing page, you will need unique login details to access the document libraries, which the association should have given you. If you haven't got it, go and ask them. And those are your unique login details. Next. So the HR service is without question the most used of the 4 services. The key thing is it's an employer focused service. That means that employees can't use it against you. So it's very different to something like ACAS, which is very much focused more towards the employee than the employer. So the HR service is there to defend the employer, and it contains an advice line and a website. The advice line, which is option 1 on the phone system, you've got unlimited calls, 24/7, 365-day-a-year access. The advisors have all got over 20 years of experience. And I think the key thing about this service is it's very consultative and sort of hand-holding. So if you have a serious issue and you want to discuss it, they'll won't just give you the letter of the law. They'll have a chat with you about it and give you your options and things like that. So that's why it's so popular, because the nature of it is different to most advice lines, and of course it's unlimited. The key thing to remember is that it's not just there to solve crisis and get you out of a hole if you're in one, but it's there to answer questions. So if you have any questions, don't Google it, just pick up the phone and talk to the advisors and ask them whatever it is you need to find out. The big reasons that people tend to call it these days is due to redundancy issues and restructuring, disciplinary issues, persistent absence, but really there's a whole host of HR or employment law issues that they can deal with. So whatever your question or problem is in the realm of HR or employment law, just ask them. But the advice line is really only half of that service, because the website, the biggest document library, is the employment one. There's over 460 employment documents, And the key thing to remember about them is that they cover the complete life cycle of an employee, from recruiting somebody to exiting somebody. There's most documents that you will need will be somewhere in that document library. There's also an extra section now on the Good Work Plan, which was new legislation that came in last year. There was a new section added last year on furlough. So there's a whole range of template COVID related documents, which have been heavily used in the last few months, as you can imagine. So the document library is extremely valuable. So you need to make sure you know how to access it. In addition to that, on the website, there's a newsroom with topical news articles, and there's a free HR health check if you want to check how compliant you are. So the website is fantastic. The other thing is, as a member, you can access a free HR one-to-one review with one of our business managers, and that isn't an audit. They're not going to sit and read documents, but they'll have a chat with you about where you're going and talk to you about what kind of policies and contracts you've got in place to make sure that if your business is changing, you're going to be in a safe place where you get to the place that you're going to be compared to the place where you came from. So it's a sort of informal conversation, but they've been really popular for the last couple of years. And if you felt you want one of those, they're also included in the service. Next one, Lucy. The legal service is the second most used service, and again, it's advice and a website. It's a premium sort of legal advisory service. So the one thing it won't do is they're not going to read documents. They're not going to write documents for you. We can do those things, but they're chargeable. This is an advisory service, but you've got unlimited access to very experienced legal advisors, and you can talk to them really about anything, whether you're in a difficulty again or whether you just got a question. The big reasons that people tend to call it these days is contract disputes, which are the most common really, debt recovery, property disputes, those kind of things. GDPR has been a big one. But you can call about any legal issue. It is really commercial legal issues. So if you wanted to get divorced, you're probably best not to call them, but you'd only get the basic advice. But they will signpost you to a solution if you need specialist legal advice. The documents on the website, there's almost 200 of them, checklists, sample contracts, and so on. Now, that's not an exhaustive list because potentially there's thousands and thousands of legal documents. If you want things like terms and conditions doing, we can do those for you, but they would need to be bespoke to make sure that it would fit for purpose. But you can always phone the advice line and ask them what documents are there, and they'll guide you through the document library if you need support. But the legal service, again, is fantastic. If you're a small business, it's really, really useful. Next one. The health and safety service is, again, advice line and a website. The key thing really about the health and safety service is that it is about compliance. So the advice line is used a reasonable amount, nothing like as much as the HR one, and you can talk to a health and safety advisor. But the big benefit of the health and safety service really is the document library, where you've got template health and safety policies, risk assessment documents, guidance notes and checklists, and all sorts of things. So if you need to get your business health and safety compliant, that is a really good place to start. And if you're not sure how compliant you are, on the website, there is also the health and safety health check. Now, these health checks online are basically sort of 11 quick questions. You fill it in, you get an instant response. The very basic checklist to see how compliant you are, and you will get something straight back by electronically to give you an answer on how compliant you are. But if you need a more in-depth conversation, you can also have a one-to-one review with a Quest business manager about health and safety as well as HR. So it's a really good health and safety service for big engineering manufacturing companies. They need something more bespoke, but for a smaller business and as a place to start, it's really good, and the website is really valuable. Next one. Next slide, Lucy. Yeah, the tax service. So the fourth of the services is a tax service. You've got access to specialist advice. You've got 2 different advice lines. There's no documents here, but you've got access to specialist tax advisors and specialist VAT advisors. Now, they can help with a whole range of different things. Tax returns, benefits in kind, property income, as you can see there. But what the number one reason that people call the advice line is help with tax returns. It's become much more used this last year with things like HMRC increasing the number of investigations into furlough payments. If HMRC come knocking and want to talk to you about investigating furlough payments, you can get advice from the tax service. If you're trading with the EU, there's been a lot of uncertainty about changes to VAT and duty because of Brexit. If you need advice on that kind of thing, call the tax service. They can certainly help you with that. And we've been working with a lot of big international trade departments at Chambers of Commerce, for example, to support them because we've got specialists in these areas. So if that's a problem for you, make sure you've got access to the telephone number and you call the tax service. So they can help with a whole range of things. But I mean, it's a well-resourced department, and it does get a lot of calls because our insurance company have some big advisory schemes with some very big firms. Next one, Lucy. So yeah, one at a time. So the service summary is, so as a member, for your protection and peace of mind, you have got, including your membership fee, you've got nothing extra to pay. You've got 5 advice lines, HR, legal, health and safety, tax and VAT. You've got one website with 3 document libraries, which include 800 free downloadable template documents. Don't forget you've got unlimited access to all these services, so you can call as many times as you want. You can download as much as you want. The value of this is over £750 if you went out into the commercial market to buy this level of support and this level of documentation. And the reason that we are able to provide this length, this quality of service and all these experts for you to talk to, is that it's a national scheme. As I said at the start, you know, we deal with lots of trade associations, almost every chamber of commerce in the country, and we've got, you know, I think it's about 95, 96,000 member businesses with access to the service now. So that's how it's possible. Next one, Lucy. If you need additional services, so whilst this is very comprehensive, it's not exhaustive. And if you need some bespoke services, now typically that might be you've got a serious problem, you need somebody on site, or you need somebody to really hold your hand to get you through a difficult problem, or to listen to grievance meetings and all this kind of thing, then we can do that. And people will sometimes sign up for a 1-year retained service to get that extra level of bespoke service. You can do that, but you don't have to sign in for a retained service if you need something. And one of the most common things that we do is if people need to exit somebody out of the business and you need a settlement agreement doing, that's a legal document which has to be properly prepared. Again, we can do that, but there's an extra charge. So we're quite happy to sell ad hoc, one-off bits of work. The key thing is, if you do need additional services over and above what's included in this membership service, you can get them, and you may have to pay for them. If you do, there's exclusive membership rates. But the one thing that we'll always promise is that you will only need to buy what you actually need. So that's a big thing. It's not necessarily the most common practice in our industry, but that's how we operate, I think, and that's why we deal with so many associations. Next one, is another one? No, that's it. So if you have any questions about any of this, that's my email address and that's my mobile number. So you can either ask now or drop me a line or an email or give me a call later. I'd be happy to talk to you. Thanks for joining. I think there's other breakout sessions going on now, or go to the sponsors lounge, or go and get a virtual coffee in the lounge. It'd be nice when we can all do that with a real cup of coffee, won't it? But enjoy the rest of your day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Steve. We've got a couple of minutes, so I just have a few questions for you. Is that all right? If you're okay to answer those.
Yeah.
Perfect. So can members receive advice in writing?
The service is an advisory service, so you don't automatically, or you can't ask them to write up everything that they just told you, because I mean it would just tie them up for hours trying to do that. The one thing that they can do is send the notes. So as they're giving you advice, they're typing notes into our system. So if you feel that, you know, sometimes they're talking that fast and they're giving you that much information, it can be hard to take it all in. So in that case, what we suggest people do is just say, could you just send me the notes? Now, grammatically, they won't end up being, it won't be perfect English grammar, and there might be some full stops and commas missing. So, but you can get that information by just asking them to send you the notes. But they're not going to write up reams and reams of letters, because it is an advisory service, and we need the advisors giving advice.
Brilliant. And one other question we had was, when actually does the free advice part end and the paid for service start? So how does that work, and what are the lines on that?
Well, the calls are unlimited. So for example, with the legal service, if you require a document reading, like if you have a contract dispute, you will get advice given on the what the caller tells the advisor. So we have to go on the verbal communication to give advice. But sometimes you can't get a final or definitive opinion on something unless you read, for example, the contract that's in dispute. Now, if you want to do that, we can do it. But if you want somebody to read these documents and then give you an opinion, that's time. That's, you know, legal time. By the Law Society won't let you just do it all for nothing. That would be chargeable. So if it, in the legal terms, if it requires us to write something or to read something before we give an opinion, that's chargeable time. If you need contracts and terms and conditions drafting up, for example, that's chargeable. On the employment side, they can go probably go further in terms of the advice, and you've got all the free documents, so there's less chance that you're going to need anything. But really, on the HR side, it tends to be when people have got serious issues and they need more personal help. They need somebody to listen to me, go to meetings with them, even if it's a virtual meeting, to hear grievance meeting, you know, because disciplinary matters will escalate up a chain. And if you need contracts of employment, which is one of the most common things, you know, people's contracts of employment are 4 or 5 years out of date. So if you need new ones, there is a very basic one that's on the website. You can do that. You can pull one together from the documents that are on the website. Same with the employee handbook. You can pull your own together. A lot of people don't want to do that, and they just prefer to pay somebody to draft up a bespoke contract of employment and an employee handbook. And again, we can do that, and we can do that as a one-off bit of work. Or if you've got other issues, we can roll it into a 1-year contract or something like that. So it's really when advice morphs into you need documents writing or creating or reading, that's when it becomes paid for work.
Brilliant, that's great. Thank you so much, Steve. That is all we've got time for this session. That was a great session, and Steve's details are on the screen still now for anybody that wants to take a little screenshot there to get back in touch afterwards. They're the details to go to. So thank you, Abloy, for sponsoring, and we're going to go now to a 15-minute break sponsored by MB Solutions. So after this, we'll go to our product showcases, and you just need to make sure you signed up for your chosen session there. During the break, if you can visit our sponsor expo area, and there's some networking sessions over there available for you. And then there's that's in the people area of the platform. So if you want to go off to the break, we will see you soon. And thanks again, Steve.
Thank you.